Brad Williams, Excel Prime. 13.5, how to look up values. Sometimes we run into a scenario where we get into the practice of using nested if functions. In the previous example, this is a nested if function. We have if this, and then if this, and then if this. So we have 3 nests within the if statement. And you can get carried away. Or to make life much easier, Excel introduced what's called the VLOOKUP. For the past, I don't know, 10 plus years, VLOOKUP was the go-to, most popular function within Excel. Excel introduced a new function called the HLOOKUP, which accomplishes this, but we're going to focus on the VLOOKUP. And the VLOOKUP is a great tool. If there's a tool you're going to use more than probably any other, it'll be the VLOOKUP or the HLOOKUP. And the way it works is, here's the function, VLOOKUP. You have 4 arguments, 3 required. The 4th, you have a lookup value, the value to look up for in the first column of a table. Say we're looking for an item in this range, which is C6 to E15. Let's say we want shorts. We want to look up an order number. We want specific information. Let's say this column here of order numbers goes out to 500 rows. Or you want to look up whatever item is in 10007. Now you could manually do that, or you can use the VLOOKUP function. And the way it works is you start off equals VLOOKUP. What are we looking up? We're looking up lookup value. The value to look up is, we're looking up 1007. What's the next argument? Where? Table array. Don't get too caught up in the term, but table array is the range of information you're looking for. Here, you remember we listed range names in the past? That name would show up here in the name box, up here just below the ribbon. We're going to point and click the range. And the range we're looking for is the item number and the order number. So here's the item and here's the order. The way it works with VLOOKUP, you highlight the entire range. That satisfies the table array requirement. And then you ask yourself, the next argument is column index. Well, what are we looking for? Well, we're looking for an item. That would be the column index number. You start from left and count over whatever you want. If you want item, the item would be number 2. If it was amount, you would list number 3. Here you're going to see number 2. And then the last argument is, if you want an exact number, if this was a number in the second column, you would list the 4th argument as 0. If you want an approximate number, you can list it as 1. The default is 0. I generally put in 0 just as practice. But here's how it works. You enter the information. Here's the active cell. We have VLOOKUP I6, which is the order number. The range C7 to D15. Here we have C7, and we just highlight this to D15. We want to go over 2 columns, and we default to 0. The answer is shorts. How do we know that? Go down to 1007 and go over 1 column. Shorts. Now here's the deal. VLOOKUP can't figure out the information to the left. If items and amount were listed over in B and A, the VLOOKUP wouldn't work. You could use a fancy lookup formula to do that, but we won't go down that road. Excel or Microsoft broke out their pens and pencils and in 2019 introduced the XLOOKUP function. The XLOOKUP function can evaluate information to the left. It can list information. If this was reversed, if, for example, we took this information and we transposed it, copy, paste special, and we hit transpose, and we put it in row columns as opposed to columns rows. VLOOKUP would not be able to do this, but there's a horizontal lookup that would. That is the old school way. The XLOOKUP can also take care of vertical, which is the V, and the H lookup. This would be the H lookup. This is just conversation. I wanted to bring this up because the H lookup will show up here at some point in time. But this is a quick introduction to the VLOOKUP. Essentially removes the if statement. We could solve this by using this if function, but you can see how ugly and nasty that it could get. You can use the if statement. Here you would say if B5 is equal to 1007, then you would have to go in these parentheses, put in E5, you'd have to put shorts. Otherwise, you'd put blank or whatever you want. And you'd have to list 8 or 9 of these, and you could see the statement could go on and on and on. The VLOOKUP solves all of that. The XLOOKUP is even quicker and has a lot more bells and whistles. In this training session, we may introduce just an overview of XLOOKUP, but for now, this is just an introduction to the initial lookup functions, and we'll go from there. Brad Williams, XL Prime, Williams out.